What's going on YouTube? Trucks and Water here today, and before we start out on the topic of this video, I just want to say that most of you did guess the engine swap right, so I am going to reveal it. I am dropping a 6.0 Vortec in this truck. If you want me to go into more detail about why I chose the 6.0, drop a comment down below saying like if you want a video on that. But that is what I'm dropping into this truck. Also, announcing right now, if I get to 1,000 subscribers by August 31st at 11:59 p.m., I will give away a GoPro. I don't know which one yet. It'll either be a GoPro 5 session, the little cube one, or it'll be like the one I'm filming on right now, the GoPro 5 Black. Depending on how many subscribers I get will depend on the giveaway. But if I get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of August 31st, at 11:59 p.m. If it's 12 o'clock, September 1st, doesn't happen. But if it's 11:59, I get to 1,000 subscribers, I'm giving away a GoPro. So this topic of this video, I got a comment asking, I forgot the dude's name, so shout out to whoever commented this. It was a great thing for a video. The topic of this video is gonna be why the K1500 would be an awesome first truck. This is biased though, and I'll go into more detail about the pros and cons of these trucks. But I just want to make this statement right now: any truck from the 90s to early 2000s, if it's taken care of, are great trucks. Where you get in the realm of bad things is when they are not taken care of, maintenance isn't kept up, it's abused, it's four-wheeled, it's used and abused, not been taken care of. That's when you get into problems. But this video is going to be on why the K1500, in my opinion, is the best truck for a teenager, like 16, 17, 18, maybe like me. When I bought it, I was 19. So let's get this started. First off, we're going to talk about the cons of these trucks. Chevy built these trucks really well, but there is some problems that associate with these trucks. I'm going to go over the ones I've had to deal with. There's a lot more out there, but these are the problems I dealt with. Sorry, I can't speak today. The first one is, if we can find it underneath here, it's kind of hard to see maybe, is let's see here, right there. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. The camera focus in. Right there, that little like shaft looking thing. What that is your locking pin for your 4x4. So the pins on those trucks goes out all the time. This is a first generation electronically shifted 4x4. So there are some issues with it. The one issue I dealt with was that locking pin. What it does is shoots out a pin out that locks your front differential in, and helps you turn the front tires and locks into full drive. Well, if that pin doesn't engage, it won't lock you in full drive. Mine didn't do it when I needed it. Luckily, I could back down the hill and I was fine. But it just kept blinking, the light in the cab. So we'll go to the cab and I'll show you kind of what I'm talking about. And I locked myself out of my truck, of course. As you can see right here, this is your 4x4 right here. So when I went from 2 to 4 high to click onto it, it would not go. It would just keep blinking and blinking and blinking, and it wouldn't go anywhere. So basically, it's a 10-minute fix. All is you take out the 2 prongs, the electronic prongs, unscrew it, screw a new one in, and you're pretty much good to go. But it's a $100 part. 10 minutes, but a $100 part. So that's one of the issues with the K1500 I've had to deal with. The next major issue I had to deal with in this truck sits in right here. And no, it's not the expansion tank or the coolant excessive tank. These trucks from the factory in the 90s came with something called Dexcool. It was GMC's version of coolant for your engine. It's supposed to last longer, it's supposed to be better for cooling and all that stuff. It's supposed to last 100,000 miles before you had to change it out or flush it out. The problem with the Dexcool is that it would clog stuff up. Your thermostat would clog up, heater core would clog up, or anything like that. But if you got it flushed and you put the green stuff in it, then it would even clog up worse. So what I had to do when I did my thermostat, I flushed it all out. I acid flushed the system. That's the key here. Acid flush the system. That gets everything out of the truck. gets out your heater core, everything like that. Because if you don't, if you mix the green stuff with it, the antifreeze, you're gonna clog up your system worse. So that's one major issue with this is another major issue with these trucks. Make sure you get that flushed, and you should be good to go. It cost me at my local kind of auto place, tire shop, your local mechanic shop, I think with the thermostat it was about $120. I think that's what I remember it being. So it's not terrible, but if you buy one of these trucks, you see the red liquid in your overflow tank, immediately send it in the shop and get it flushed out. Another major issue on these trucks is right in here. That's one of the grounds for your battery and for your electronics. It's not a major issue unless you start putting stuff on your truck. Like I've got light bar, I've got aftermarket headlights. If you take it off, because you have to run a ground to it, make sure it's put on right, because if the ground is even semi-loose, like mine, my driver's side light was flickering, and we couldn't figure out why. All the plugs were good, everything was good, except for that one ground wire right there that I just showed you was bad. So if that's the case, if your electronics are acting weird or anything like that, it's kind of a Chevy problem, but check your grounds first. There's a lot of grounds on this truck, but check your grounds first, and sometimes, more than likely, it could just be a loose ground. That's another major issue with these trucks. The last major issue I've had to deal with sits right in here. It's the fuel pump. I've heard from people and I've read forums and stuff that the original fuel pump on this truck will last about 120,000 miles. Now, to my knowledge, this truck, except for recently, it had the original fuel pump in it. Mine lasted 190,000 miles. These Chevys are known for your fuel pump going bad. And how you can tell is when you start your truck over, if it starts, runs, and dies. Mine jumped to 1,500 RPMs and died. And when you keep turning the key over, it'll go up even lower RPMs and die, and it won't want to catch or anything, even if you throttle it. I had to have it rolled back from my local college to my shop that I bring it to. That cost about $80-something, and then to put a whole new fuel pump in that truck was about $600-something. They had to drop the tank, put a new one in, but that's a very common problem with these Chevys, is the fuel pump. And there's nothing you can really do to prevent it, except for don't run it under 5 gallons of gas, or even more than that, because it helps cool the fuel pump, I've heard, and don't run it out of gas. If you run these trucks out of gas, these more early models of the fuel injective system, they'll get airlock and they won't want to start, or if you do it, it'll fry up your fuel pump. So that's the last major issue I've had to deal with, but we're going to go over some more issues that I know of with these trucks. Another major issue with these trucks, but I haven't had to deal with it because mine was always grandpa owned. This truck has never been off-road in the mud or anything like that. It's only been a road queen. Except for in the winter time with the snow and stuff when I had to drive it, but I've always washed all the salt off it, climbed underneath with a pressure washer and washed it out in the corners of the truck. So right in here is 2 main areas on the truck that you can tell if it's been used or abused. These trucks, any 90s model truck is prone to rusting out. If you see mud and stuff packed up underneath here, now normal road grime and dust, don't be too concerned about, but reach underneath here and poke around with your hand, see if it's solid or not. That's a major issue with these trucks, is rust. That's one area to check. Another area to check underneath these trucks is right up underneath the cab corner, especially on an extended cab model like mine. So if you look up underneath here, get up into the cab corner and check the cab corners out like this, they're really prone to rusting through here. Mine still has the original paint from the factory. Those like to get packed up with mud, and the problem with those cab corners is little holes in it for like ventilation and stuff like that that get packed and you can't wash them out, or it's really hard to get out. That's a major area you can tell when if these trucks have been used and abused, is in that area if it's rusted out. Because what will happen is this cab corner right here will start rusting out. You can put your hand through it almost, and it'll spread like cancer all the way down the quarter panel, or all the way down the side of it right here. Check that spot first when you're looking at these trucks, because like I said, that's a prone area for issues right there. Another area for these trucks it's just kind of a common wear and tear are the door hinges on these trucks right here. I've had my driver's side replaced Passenger side's kind of going out, so I might have to start doing that soon. But when they redesigned these trucks for the 4th gen square bodies, they made the doors a lot heavier, but didn't change out the pins from like the earlier models, so they wear out faster. It's not a big deal. It's an easy fix. I think they cost me $50 in my local shop to do it. You can do it at home, but they have more specialty tools to do it with, instead of a hammer and a freaking chisel and banging those things out. So I recommend staying to a shop. But that's pretty much the last issues on these trucks that I really know of. Different generation of these trucks. These trucks ran from like 89 to 98. Different generations had kind of different problems, but those are the most common things about these trucks. Now I'm going to talk about the pros of this truck. And the first pro I'm going to talk about is the engine in this truck. Mine is a 5.7 liter 350 small block Vortec V8. And 1996 was a change year for them to go to a more modern style V8 with more modern electronic fuel injection and a bunch of other stuff. I don't know the technical thing on it, but that's kind of the basics of what was going on. This engine is a stout motor. Mine makes, I think, about 250 horsepower and about 350-ish foot-pounds of torque. It gets great mileage for the year. I think when I went down to Daytona Beach, we were running 80, 85, maybe 90 in some parts. I got 16 mpg out of it. It never overheated, never did anything weird, started normal, nothing. These engines in these trucks are great for a first-time truck because it's a 350 small block. They're like the most common V8 in like the world. So their parts are cheap, parts are easy to get to. There's a bunch of aftermarket for this truck, especially in the engine compartment. The one thing you gotta watch out for is your AC compressor. About 150,000 miles, they usually go out, but that's not that bad of a fix. But these engines are fantastic. Common mods for these engines that I'm going to do too is, of course, a cold air intake to get this big honking thing out of there, and exhaust. That's the usual common things. I recommend, if you're going to buy a truck like a K1500, to go with a 96 to 98 model, because that was the last year of them. They got most of the problems out of them. But you can buy an earlier model, but that's just my recommendation. Second thing that I love about this truck, and the thing would be great for a first time, is if you get a four-wheel drive truck, is the actual four-wheel drive system. Now, electronics of it, like I explained in the beginning of this video, are kind of janky sometimes, especially the truck's been used and abused. But once it's in four-wheel drive, I have never gotten this truck stuck. I've gone through 8 inches of fresh snow, no problem. I've climbed a hill that was about at least a good 1,000 feet, about, I think, a 20% grade, solid ice except for a couple of splotches that were not. Had it in full drive high, creeping at 10 miles an hour. It barely spun, never got stuck, never felt like I was going to slide off the road or anything, and it was a wonderful. This full drive system, once it kicks in, it's a wonderful thing. Now, I've never sunk it in mud, so I don't know how it would do in there. I haven't done rock crawling in it, so I don't know how it does there. But from my experience with this full drive system, it works wonders. So let's go on to the next thing. The next thing about these trucks that I absolutely love is the heater core in this truck. The AC does work really well. I've dealt with a little bit better truck with AC, but the heater core in this truck is unreal. If you ever see my very, very first vlog, way back in January, yeah, I think it was one of my first vlogs, if not the first. Me and my buddy Colin, that you know from the channel, from Daytona Vlog and stuff like that, we went up to Sevierville Pigeon Forge during our only good snowstorm this year. By the time we walked out of Bass Pro Shops at 10 o'clock at night, or 9 o'clock or something, it was between 2 and I think 6 or 7 degrees outside. We hopped in the truck, cranked the heater core over. It was 85 degrees in this truck. We were in short sleeves. We actually had to turn the heater core down and run and whistle a little bit to get some cold air in. It was so hot. These heater cores, if they're managed properly and everything, don't get clogged up, work wonders. This truck will like burn you out alive. Everyone in this truck that I've had in this truck in the winter will say that it burns you out alive. So these heater cores are awesome in this truck. Another thing I recommend is, if the truck's taken care of, is the interior of this truck. I've got the Z71 off-road package, the best package you can give this truck, ordered from the factory, except for a rear sliding glass window, which I'm not a big fan of on these trucks. They leak anyways. This interior is fantastic. Got everything you need: power windows, locks, Adjustable mirrors, even with my aftermarket mirrors, they still adjust. Plenty of storage. There's storage behind the seat, like that, underneath the seat where I keep my hard hat. The back seat isn't that big. I've had people in the back, not been that big, but it still works for its purpose. Now, in my 96 year, it was a solid rear door, so you cannot get in through a door, you have to get in through the seats. But that doesn't really bother me that much. Now, 97, I think 97, 98, they came out with a third door that you can open. Those rust out even worse than this kind of generation. But if you, again, find a clean one that's not been abused, you should be good. But anyways, the interior's great. I love this center console. It's huge. This part's for your CDs, but since I don't use CDs because I have an aftermarket radio, I use I just put my cord chargers in there, and I got kind of an aftermarket cup holder for this truck, because the cup holders in this truck aren't the best. As you can see, like, they work, these are just a joke. They're only good for holding cell phones and wallets. But these seats are wonderful. I've got lumbar support. I can raise and lower the seat when I want to, move it back and forth, raise it up, raise it down, do my lumbar support, and it fully works. Everything works in this truck as it should. The really cool thing that I never thought they thought of back then, in this truck, there's 3 charging ports right here for your phone and stuff. They're actually cigarette lighter ports, but I use them to charge my phone because I don't smoke, and this truck has never been smoked in. If you find one of these trucks that's never been smoked in and super clean, buy it. These trucks are not getting any cheaper. They're actually getting more rare. So that's awesome. Other than that, the interior is wonderful. I have had people fall asleep in this seat all the time. It's like semi-truck seats, basically, buckets with the armrest. I'll never have a truck without an armrest again because they're so convenient. But yeah, the only problem you gotta watch out with the interior, as I'm conscious about it, is right here on the side of the seats. They like to rip like any 90s model truck, but if you take care of them, you're conscious about it, you should be good. Another thing about these trucks that I love, that I've heard some people complain about, but I'm not sure why, the ride quality. This truck rides so good for a 90s truck. If you see my vlog about my first truck I've ever owned, a 1996 Dodge Ram 1500 two-wheel drive 5.9 liter single cab, this truck blows it out of the water with ride quality. I freaking love it. But I've heard people that say bad things about the ride quality. I guess it just depends on how well maintained it's been used, what its life has been. Okay guys, so that's the cons and pros of a 1996 K1500. I highly recommend this truck for a kid that's looking for a truck. It gets, like I said, I've averaged in the city about 14, and then highway driving is just straight highway. You can get 17, 18, even 19 mpg out of it if you drive the speed limit. I don't like driving the speed limit half the time, so I get a little bit lower, about 16 to 17 at the best. What I do recommend with these trucks is, when you go look at them, check your cab corners, crawl up underneath it. These 350s are very resilient, but like with any motor, if it's not maintained properly, you can have issues. If the guy does not have receipts, even when it comes to oil changes or anything like that, don't buy it. If a person cares about their truck, they'll try to keep track of all the receipts. I try to keep track of even my oil change receipts. Transmissions on these trucks, though, I've heard mixed things about them. You have to just talk to people individually. Like I said, if it's used and abused, then you're going to have transmission problems. But I got lucky with my truck. It was Grandpa owned the first time it was bought from the factory, and I bought it from my dad's buddy that never used it as a truck. The heaviest thing that's been in the back of this truck is people and a 2004 Honda CR250R dirt bike. That's the heaviest thing that's been in the back of this truck. I do not use this truck as a truck. It's my daily driver, going to be soon to be show truck. My recommendation, though, if you find one that's lifted, 'cause there is an aftermarket community when it comes to lifting these trucks, and they look good lifted. My recommendation, though, like I said, climb underneath it. See if they lifted it for just the look of it, or if it's an off-road. If it's an off-road truck, don't buy it. I'm sorry to say that. I know some people are really conscious about when they off-road, they wash it and stuff like that, but it causes so much wear and tear on your vehicle, it's not even funny. So my recommendation is try to buy it from an older person. That doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, but try to buy it from an older person that's kept track of the records, kept track of everything like that. And the higher up model trim level on these trucks they are, the better off you're going to be, because more likely the people that had money at the time to buy them, and they want to take care of them, is what I want to say. I'm not saying the lower work truck models are like that, but it's a work truck model for a reason. I bought mine with 159,000 miles on it 2 years ago, July 13th. Now I got 203,000. Well, the stuff I went over, that's just kind of more or less basic maintenance on these trucks. Knock on metal, this truck has been nothing but great to me. It's only left me stranded once because of the fuel pump, but it was starting to die anyways. I just ignored the warning signs, kind of, but that was my own fault. These trucks have a great aftermarket community. They're not as good as the newer Chevys, but they do have a really good aftermarket community if you want to make it your own. But like I said, find one, test drive it, look it over, look for the common signs of wear and tear. If the guy doesn't have paperwork on everything, you know, I wouldn't buy it. That's just my personal preference. And if the guy keeps talking up the truck and never saying anything about the cons or what has gone wrong with it, or being honest, don't get it. It's a trap. So that being said, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope this helps out a lot of you that are looking at these trucks. They are still kind of cheap. You can buy a really good one I've seen for about $5,000 to $7,000. I even seen them as high as $14,000 with one with only, I think, 60,000 miles on it. But if you want one with about 120 to 160,000 miles on it, you're looking at about probably in the neighborhood of $4,500 to about $7,000. And of course, that's negotiable with every price. But that's what you're looking at. I highly recommend these trucks. Like I said, the 96 to 98 models are the best years for these trucks. You have the newer electronic fuel injection and all that stuff. So, highly recommend this truck. If you have any questions, comment down below or send me a direct message on Instagram or YouTube. I'll try to answer your questions as best as I can. But I hope this helps out the guy that sent me the comment asking to make this video. Helps out any of you if you're wishy-washy on buying one of these trucks. They're not getting any new, more popular, or yeah, they're actually getting more popular, but they're not getting any more plentiful. They're actually becoming more rare. Almost a classic truck now. It's getting to that year model. So I highly recommend this truck if you're looking to get a Chevy. They're a great truck. They're a great truck to modify. Great truck to drop a 6.0 in, because it almost drops directly into this truck. So I want to thank you all for watching this video. If you like this video, please leave a like. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. All of you, have a great day, and remember, never give up on your dreams.